Okay, we are live. Good to see everybody. It's let's see, what is it? July 2nd, Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, Pacific time. Of course, it is 8:02 a.m. Pacific time here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Andrew back again, and we have another one here from Dell, from their business line, the Dell Pro 13 Premium. Now, we looked at the Dell Pro 14 Premium, which I have right here. This one has been nothing but spectacular for me. I'm really using it pretty much on a daily basis. This one has the tandem OLED display, which has been nothing but short of fantastic. I actually love this laptop quite a bit. I know Dell, did the rebranding and all that, but I got to tell you, this Dell Pro 14 Premium has lived up to the billing as far as I'm concerned. And this is the smaller sibling. This is going to be the Dell Pro 13 Premium, a smaller form factor. But there are some key differences between the two. And I already took it out of the box. I loaded in some benchmarks so we can get going, saving some time here today. And I wanted to get a look at it. And I got to tell you, looking really good as well, especially if you're in the market for a very portable 13-inch form factor to take with you on the go. That's going to also give you great battery life. It's going to be durable and thin and light. And so, pretty much everything you'd want out of a business portable that this is bringing to the table here. All right, so we have a few people here. We're streaming on X, formerly known as Twitter, and of course the main channel here on YouTube. Do me a favor, give a thumbs up to this video. It helps get it spread out over YouTube as we are pushing to get to 250,000 subscribers. And by the way, we're already at 238. We're already pushing to 239. So we are getting close to our stated goal of 250. We may have to move that goalpost to about 300,000 the way things are going. So tremendous growth here on the channel. I want to thank everybody. Now, if you want to help support the channel, why not obviously not only hit the thumbs up button, but why not do a super chat, super sticker, become a member on a monthly basis that helps keep the lights on here in the studio. So I do appreciate it. If you're going to buy something, there are affiliate links in the description below. Of course, I get a small commission, not a huge commission, but small nonetheless. But, it accumulates and it helps, again, keeps the lights on here in the studio and helps support the channel. With that being said, let's say hello to Guillermo here, and we'll get this unboxed in just a moment as people are coming in. Good to see you, my friend. And Big E, the jeweler, who's interested in seeing this one. William, of course, is here, front and center. And, of course, yes, I am enjoying this so-called cool weather. Yeah, it's pretty hot here already in Vegas, although pretty overcast today. Looks like it might rain even here. So we don't get too much rain, so it's always welcome. And, yeah, so that is where we are right now. And again, just give that thumbs up. It helps get spread out over YouTube. All right, let's find out what we're dealing with here today. Let's get rocking and rolling. Let's bring out the specs of the unit here onto the screen. And as you can see, the Dell Pro 13 Premium here is a follow-up to the Latitude line. So it would have been the Latitude 9330 or less, or 9340, whatever it was, or maybe 9350. I don't remember it even anymore. But again, they did away with the Latitude line, simplified the branding. It's now Dell Pro, right? Dell Pro Premium. So that means it's going to be the top of the line here in terms of their Pro line as far as these type of thin and light portables. Now, this has a 13.3-inch touchscreen display. It's QHD Plus 2560 by 1600. IPS, so no tandem OLED like you can get on the bigger sibling, the 14-inch, which we have here. But I got to tell you, it's really bright, the display. I did, when I took it out of the box just to load everything up, load the updates, it is pretty good. Now, it is 60 hertz, so, don't get all crazy on me on that. But I see why, because the battery is going to be important here, and especially with an IPS, I expect really, really good battery life on this. Still have to do my testing, of course, but this is running Lunar Lake, right? So it's a Core Ultra 7 268V with V Pro, same as we had on the 14-inch. And Intel Arc 140V graphics, which we are impressed with. I like that. 32 gigabytes of memory, which is what it maxes out, because that is not a limitation of Dell, but rather of Lunar Lake. So system on a chip here, 8533 megatransfers per second, a terabyte of storage. We'll open it up hopefully today, or if not in the full review. 3-cell 60 watt-hour battery, express charge boost capable, meaning it's fast charging, and Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4. We'll get to the weight in just a moment here as it moves over to the next panel. But yeah, so the display, I already got a sneak peek at it. It looked pretty good. We'll look at that in a little bit. And then, of course, weight-wise, we're looking at 2.36 pounds, or its stated weight here, 1.071 kilograms. So pretty light in terms of the travel package. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll do our own measurement, of course. 8 megapixel IR camera, HDR, which is always welcome. And if it's anything like the 14-inch that we looked at, it's going to be really, really good. Magnesium chassis in this magnetite color, I guess is what they're calling it. It's gray. It's like a dark gray, like a graphite, I think. And it looks pretty good, almost like a bluish graphite, or if there is such a thing. We'll take a look at that. And then, of course, there's the ports we'll go over in detail when we get it out of the box. Price as tested, $24, $29, $19. Of course, this is not going to be that cheap. It's a business laptop. And just do me a favor, keep in mind when you look at the pricing here that these tend to be bought in bulk by companies, and they do get discounts from Dell. So these are not the actual prices that they will actually pay in real life, and they do run sales. So again, latest pricing for everything will be in the link below. But of course, that's the price as tested. There are cheaper versions. Again, check out the links in the description below. So that is the pricing and, of course, the specs on this unit. Now, let's get it out of the box. Let's see what you can expect here. If it's anything like this one, of course, this is the 14-inch, the Dell Pro 14 Premium with this tandem OLED display, which is absolutely gorgeous here. I absolutely love this thing. All right, but again, there's a place for all of these. This is a more premium display, although I got to say this was going to be pretty good as well. So without further ado, let's get this out of the box. All right, so here we have the unit. I did take it already out of the box, so it's a little bit of a fake unboxing, but you're getting used to that. Again, I wanted to make sure all the updates were done and all the benchmarks were downloaded here. All right, so we got a few things here. Obviously, we're going to get our 60-watt power charge, and check how pretty compact and small this is. I really love this. I like what they're doing here, and 60 watts is more than enough for this, right? So you got your USB-C cable, and you also get your power cord. So that's your charging power supply here, and that's it for that. And then, of course, some documentation here from Dell here regarding this, the Dell Pro 13 Premium, the PA13250, and there it is. All right, so that is that. We'll get a measurement of the weight. Let's put the box away. Again, pretty straightforward, nothing too surprising there. And then, of course, we get this. And this is that grayish color in the magnesium finish here, or the magnesium alloy. And, of course, this is really, really nice looking. So you can take a look here, thin and light. And you probably can get a good look at it here. So this is the color here. It does show some fingerprints, but it's not too bad. Very, very nice. And let's see if we can do the you-know-what test. And we can. So that is something you can do. And there it is booting up. Now, you might be asking, well, why not have an OLED display? Why not go with mini LED or something like that? First of all, it's 13.3 inches. I'm not even sure if there is a mini LED in that size to even be had. But besides that, I'm glad they went with this, because this is a really gorgeous IPS display. I don't know if you can really see it on the live stream, to give it its true fidelity, but I can tell you, just here in real world usage here, looking at it, it's pretty gorgeous, and it is brighter. It is a 500 nit display, and I measured it already. It is really, really bright. I may even have to lower the brightness at some point, depending on which camera angle, but this is a really nice looking laptop. Now, there is hardly any screen wobble when typing. I mean, this is a really nice hinge, and it goes back 180 degrees, so that is pretty good. And here is the keyboard layout, and we'll get a measurement of the weight in just a moment, but this is the keyboard layout here, and it's got a zero lattice keyboard. Notice that it has the collaboration touchpad. That is good. It's not haptic, so just keep that in mind, but it's still a very good touchpad. We'll remove this sticker in a moment, but I wanted you to see that. Power button doubles as a fingerprint scanner right there. some grills there, and the sound is pretty good also. I already tested that a little bit when I took it out of the box, so it's been pretty good so far. But of course, let's get a measurement of the weight as we bring out our scale here. And let's turn that on and let's put it into kilograms here as we are moving right along here. And let's see what we got here. And we'll compare it to the weight of the 14-inch. So here's the kilograms with just the unit alone, 1.226 kilograms, and that is 2 pounds, 11.3 ounces. So pretty light here, I gotta say. And then let's put it back into kilograms here. With the power charger, power cord, and the USB-C cable, 1.476 kilograms, and you're looking at 3 pounds, 4.1 ounces for a total travel weight. So that is what you get here as far as taking this on the go. And I got to tell you, it's a pretty nice compact package. It's also going to have a military 810H rating. So that means this can take a licking and keep on ticking. So the durability, the chassis is very good. Now with magnesium alloy, it's a metal alloy that is very, very lightweight, and it's also very durable. Actually, let's get a difference of measurement in terms of the 14-inch to see just so the difference. Now, of course, keep in mind, this is the one with the tandem OLED. So the 14, oh, let me get it to 0. There it is. All right, let's go there. And with just the unit alone, 1.267 kilograms, and that is 2 pounds, 12.7 ounces. That's light in its own right, by the way. And then let's put this one back on there just with the unit alone, 13-inch, 1.227. Just one more time here. 1.264, 1.265. So very similar in weight, actually, very surprising. This tandem OLED is pretty light on its own for a 14-inch, so pretty interesting. But these are both pretty portable, I got to tell you. That's going to be good. All right, so those are the weights on these. According to William, he says he's glad to see that it's not the capacitive rows on the top. Yeah, that's on the Dell premium line that we're going to be looking at very, very soon. So stay tuned. They have some interesting changes, although I think you're not going to see a major change, although you will see bigger displays on the 14 and the 16 coming up from Dell. That's going to replace the XPS line. This one, of course, has an IPS display. And somebody asked earlier, what is the difference between an IPS and an OLED? There is a big difference in a few ways, Dane. The IPS display obviously is going to be pretty bright, although the tandem OLEDs have the potential to go even brighter, although you will sacrifice battery life. We'll get into that in a separate video. But IPS will give you a few advantages over the OLED. Yes, these are very high quality IPS displays, but it's not going to be quite as good in terms of the coverage of the color gamut and the color accuracy, but this will do better in battery life in general. This one is also brighter. This is a 600 or 500 nits. This one is, I think, 400 nits plus. Again, depending on if you go to HDR, it can peak even higher. But this one is 600 nits. And I got to tell you, looking at it right here, you can see it is a glossy display, not overly glossy. I do have a lot of lights. Actually, it's pretty decent. There's some glass over here, so you're seeing a reflection there. But this is a really nice touchscreen display. So for those wondering, yes, no pen support. And again, the screen goes back 180 degrees. The touchpad, let's take a look at the touchpad. I know somebody's asking about that. It's the collaboration touchpad here, and I will say that it's really good for a Zoom call. Let me load in Zoom on this one to show you what it looks like. I don't have Zoom loaded. I forgot to load that in on this one, but it might be quicker to just do it on this one. Let me see if I have this on this one already loaded up. I may not even have it. Yeah, I forgot to load it on this one also. But what happens is these light up, right? So you get the, and I can probably load it when we have a break here, but very, very convenient to be able to share your screen, be able to turn off the camera, be able to turn off the microphone. These are very good. All right. Now, if you want to see them side by side, I think these are some pretty nice displays. Of course, you'll get the deeper blacks and the vibrant colors on the tandem OLED, and you can see it is a pretty gorgeous display, even on camera, where it's hard to capture just exactly how great this display is. This one is really, really good. We'll have to show you the difference in the video, of course. Lunar Lake, it is Lunar Lake. So these are running the same processor, the Core Ultra 7 258V, 8 cores, 8 threads. But of course, in real world usage, the lack of cores is really not a big deal. Actually, you're going to be doing better in battery life. You'll get a lot of more efficiency, and it'll run cooler and quieter. And that's the name of the game with Lunar Lake. I think Lunar Lake's a big hit. I don't know if they're going to do it again. Apparently, it's very expensive for them to make, but we'll see. It's a system on a chip, so the memory is integrated on the chip. So the most you can go, as I mentioned, is 32 on this one. How would you compare this to a similarly priced MacBook Pro, assuming I need to run each platform at various times? There are some key differences between a MacBook Pro. First of all, these are touchscreen displays. So you won't be able to do that on a MacBook if that's something you need. Linux will be able to run on these. I'm going to be testing Linux on these. So that's another advantage, that I think it's a little bit more seamless on this than on a MacBook. And of course, on your downtime, you can do gaming on these where you really can't. MacBook, yes, you can. It's getting a little bit better, but really not meant for that. It's not a optimal gaming experience, at least not yet. Now, as far as the display, like I said, it's going to be good, even though, and in fact, I'm going to load it up here. Let me connect it to my dock here. It's a Dell dock, obviously. And we're going to take a look at some of the benchmarks that I already have tested on this already, and it's pretty much in line with other Lunar Lake laptops. Let me go to the screenshots here. Let's talk about the display first. And here you can see it, and I'll put it on the screen here. So what we're looking at here is the coverage of the color gamut. And again, it's not going to be quite as good as the OLED, but you get a pretty much 100%, 99% sRGB. So we'll round that up to 100. It's fine. 76 Adobe, 77 P3, and 71. That's a very good display. But if we go to the next slide here, 588 nits. So it's a claimed 500 nits. However, I measured closer to 600. It's even brighter than they claim. So that's been a big, big plus here. Great black levels. The lower, the better. Even though it's not OLED, you get some deep blacks here. I got to say, I'm impressed, especially for an OLED display. Very good contrast ratio, 1500 to 1. That's excellent. Good white point at 6700. That's really good. And then color accuracy, anything below 2 is considered good. 1.41 is definitely within that range. So very good color accuracy. That is that. And then, of course, I did run some benchmarks here. So this was without the plug. So this is on battery. And obviously, this will go up once I plug it in. I just ran some quick tests here. This will be about 25 to 2600, and this will be about 10,000 or so in that range for multi-core. And then I ran, let's see what else I ran here. Yeah, so similar to this with the Cinebench 2024 109 single core, which is in line with other Lunar Lakes, 448 again in this range. Again, that may go up a little bit as I update everything. So that's going to be in the 500 range, I would think, especially with the 268V. So again, these are just some initial stuff that I looked at. As far as the OpenCL score, that's going to test the Intel Arc graphics here. 30,780 is what I got, which is pretty good actually for that test, especially with this integrated graphics solution. So that is some of the benchmarks I was able to run right out of the box. I didn't do the others yet, but maybe we'll run a few here today. Again, I don't want to go too long today, just so you know, but I just want to give you an overview of these, and these are looking pretty good. Now, according to William, the physical keys on the 14 is one looks slightly larger on the 14. It might be that a little easier typing on those when people have larger hands. I have pretty large hands, as you can see. I had no problem on this one. This one, I didn't get too much time with yet. Yeah, the keys are maybe slightly smaller, not all that much. Yeah, you can see these are a little bit, you can take a look at it here. Let's give a listen to the Zero Lattice keyboard. Let's see how it sounds. So for those that are wondering. Yeah, so feels good so far. Initial impression is it's really good. Now, one thing I noticed is the power button is the same as the one on the 14-inch. It does double as a fingerprint scanner, so you have multiple ways of logging in. Now, these are IR cameras here, so it's hard to, maybe you can see it better over here. but this is an IR camera. Now, there is a physical shutter switch. Let me see if this one will probably show it to you. Yeah. So there's a little shutter switch on the top here. If you just slide it over, this turns gray, turns off the webcam, same as this one. So that is pretty good. And the camera should be very good. 8 megapixel HDR camera, capable of some really nice videos. Can you do gaming on the Dell 14 Plus 2-in-1? You can. I'll have my full review on that one. But you'll have to lower some of the settings. But yes, you can do some gaming. Just depends on which settings you're on. We'll talk more about that. This is Lunar Lake or H series? This is Lunar Lake, and you don't want the H series on this for a couple of reasons. I think you want to keep the battery longevity there. You want it to get some good battery life, and you want it to run cool and quiet. And for what you're going to use this for, Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, I don't think there's a really good reason to go above that in terms of processor. There are other laptops that will take care of other things that you'll do on things you won't do on this, like high-end video editing. I would look for something with an H series, something with a discrete GPU. Although I gotta say, my experience with the Intel Arc graphics, which is the integrated solutions that these use, are very good. So I really think that these do the job in terms of what you can expect from an integrated solution. For the everyday user, on the go, business user, taking this on an airplane, using this to do spreadsheets, Microsoft Office, email, web browsing, all that stuff will work very well, even gaming on your downtime. Now, weight-wise, these are very similar, and I can also show you here, there's no difference in the height. It's very, very similar. So it's just a matter of, do you want the extra room here that you get on a 14-inch, or do you want something a little bit more compact? Let's take a look at the size difference here between the two. And this is the 14 on the bottom. And let's see here. I will do a battery comparison, of course, in the full review as I do test it. And there you can see there is a difference over here on the battery. And we'll look at the ports right now. But there is definitely a difference here. Let me put them in the right order here. That is the actual difference here in size. And then you can see here the difference in the ports, which are exactly the same on the right side, as you can see there. It all comes into focus there. And then on the left side, also exactly the same. So you're getting a same port selection, just in a little bit smaller form factor. Let's start off on the left side. You get HDMI 2.1. You get a Thunderbolt. I think this one is USB Type-C. Let's bring it out onto the stream here on the specs here, just to make sure. Let me move this over, and then we'll go look again at it. But let's just make sure. I want to give you the wrong information here. Let's pause it there. So there are 2 USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports, 1 USB 3.2 Gen 1. I think that's the, and then there is, 2 USB-C 4.0, 1 USB 3.2 Gen 2. Okay, so those are US Thunderbolt 4. So let me put it back on the shot over here. Let me turn that off here. Okay, so let's go start over here. So this is HDMI. This is a Thunderbolt 4 port, full function, and a headphone jack, right? So same as the 14-inch. And then on the right side, Kensington lock, another Thunderbolt 4, if I can get them lined up there. Yep, and then you get a USB Type-A. So pretty decent. Now, one thing that is missing, there's no micro SD card reader or a full-size SD card reader, which would have been nice. However, maybe it's not a deal breaker. Again, they want to keep this to a minimum in terms of what weight and size. So I can understand that, but it would have been nice to have an SD card reader. But overall, pretty nice port selection, especially with HDMI there and the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. And by the way, I appreciate that these Thunderbolt 4 ports are split up, one on each side, making it more convenient. And I do understand that it does cost more money to make it where those are split up. So sometimes you get these budget laptops and you don't get them split up because it's cost more money for them to put one on each side of the motherboard. Whereas here, they're both on the left side, they're both split up rather, one on each side. 2.4K. Did I say 2.4K? I don't know what that is. Or $2,400. Yes, this is expensive. Again, this is a business laptop, and they will buy these in bulk. Master Funk, okay, but can you buy it as a consumer? Yes, you can. There is a link in the description below. You can buy it. Again, look for sales. I understand it's a little high, although you get what you pay for. The quality is very good, and things are just expensive right now, even on the consumer side. You saw it. I did a video yesterday, by the way, or maybe the day before, on the HP OmniBook X Flip, which is the 14 and the 16, and those are really some good laptops that were on sale. I don't know if it's still on sale at Best Buy for like $799, $750, and $799. $750 for the 14-inch and the $799 for the 16-inch, and not many people were excited about it. I don't know if it's YouTube suppressing videos again. I'm not really sure what's going on. Those are the follow-up to the Envy line, which everybody loved. I got over 100 and something, 150,000 views last year. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but hopefully that'll pick up over time. But these are some interesting stuff. Now, these have a zero lattice keyboard like we showed earlier, so it's a little different. I actually like these in terms of the tactility, the key travel, the overall feedback is very good. These are slick looking, and I think they look good. Sometimes on the more expensive models, the ports are still not split up. Yeah, so I do appreciate that they did split up those two Thunderbolt 4 ports, one on each side. That is definitely and welcome and much appreciated. And students have a 10% discount. I don't know America, though. I don't know. Maybe Dell does. I believe they do. I wonder if you can buy. Yeah, I would imagine if you're a student, a military person, teacher, they might have some discounts. So I would look into that. I'll ask Dell, but I do imagine that they would have it. Again, I don't quote me on it, but I will ask Dell. Let's keep going here. 1.4 is maxed out in Italy. There is a base model for 1.5. So you're looking at 1,500 euros, I'm assuming. And again, the one this is about $2,500, $2,600, all maxed out as we're seeing here today. These are pretty top of the line, although there are a few other features you can add, like 5G, I believe you can add on these, which some people require as your business on the go. You want to have a secure connection, always on, so that might be a way to go. Again, links for everything in the description below. So these can be outfitted with 5G. From what I understand. And we have about 81 of you watching on the different platforms, so starting to gain some momentum here. Let's go back to see what other questions or comments. What's the difference between Arrow Lake and Lunar Lake? Arrow Lake has more cores. I believe it's, 14 or 6? I think it's 14 cores. And it has more threads. So with Lunar Lake, 8 cores, 8 threads. So it's reduced a number of cores and threads to be more efficient, give you more battery life. But I got to tell you, in real world usage, I don't see a difference for those kind of things. It's where the H series comes in for gaming laptops, or even the HX series. And then, of course, adding in a discrete GPU with that combination gives you a lot more power. Although for this, you don't really need more than what this has. And I think less is more here in a way, because you're going to get a definite improvement in battery life and efficiency. Dell Pro is the business, Dell is consumer. That is correct. Lunar Lake also has better NPU if you're interested. That is correct. So that's another benchmark we can show you. I don't know if I already ran it. Let me see here. So I did the Geekbench AI on these. And actually, let's run it now. Let's, with all this Geekbench stuff, the Geekbench AI, and we can take a look at this on these both. Let's run these at the same time. Let me plug them in. Let's do, AI is this, AI that. It's all in the front and center now. And let's start benchmarking these. I started to include them in the last video, which I did with the OmniBooks. I'm going to do them here. So later, and then let's get these up and running here. So these are going to run here. So did I not do that already? Let's see. Geekbench AI. So this is a new benchmark from Geekbench. We'll see how it's going to do. One Piece Hunter got the 14 Plus 2-in-1 AMD Ryzen chip and tried to play Roadblocks, and it got hot. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're doing, right? So that's the AMD chip. So I'm going to run these at the same time, and let's see what we get there. I'm going to have to lower this down a little bit. This is 600 nits pretty much of brightness. This one I'll lower down also. These are running the AI benchmark. I don't know really what's behind the scenes on these, but this is one of the few benchmarks now coming out. We're going to start seeing more benchmarks doing that. I am fine. How are you, my friend? So pretty good. So let's get this first benchmark. We'll look at the cameras. We're going to get a test of the sound. And by the way, running this, I hear the fans a little bit on this one. Not so much on this one yet. Could be the chassis a little bit bigger on this one. But I got to say, in general, these are going to be quiet. Pretty quiet overall, which is what we want. Again, we'll be able to run Linux on these as well. I should have no problem. I will be testing that for the full review. So according to Valley Mail, with Dell, you know you're getting a long-lasting product. That's why enterprises use it a lot. Microsoft, it's a Russian roulette. So that's Microsoft, right? So and you're talking about the Surface. So yeah, I tend to agree with Valley Mali because Surface I love. I actually love that Surface Pro laptop that we looked at with the Lunar Lake, the business version. But I'm just curious as to their marketing strategy because, to be honest, they didn't sell that to the consumer, and instead they put the Snapdragon on it, which is fine, but give the consumer the option of going with the better product. And I'll be honest with you, the better product is that Surface Pro for business. And judging by the amount of views I got on my videos on that, it's a clear winner in terms of what the people want. So check it out. And when I'm done, I'll put a link when we're in the description below. So that's just something I observed. But these are long lasting. They're durable. This is a magnesium chassis on both of these, which is a lightweight alloy that is also durable. And that's the name of the game here. These are going to be able to take a licking and keep on ticking. How good is the touchpad? So far, the touchpad's good. We'll test it out. We already got our first result here. This one started a little bit later than this one, so it doesn't mean that this one's faster. They're running the same processor, exact same configuration, 32 gigabytes of memory, LPDDR5X running at the 8533 megatransfers per second. So these are the differences between the two. A little bit higher on the 14-inch. Maybe that has to do with the thermals. I don't know. But again, I don't really know, to be honest, how this all works with the AI in the background. But as far as AI laptops, we can sort of get a comparison one-to-one here. So 2471 single precision score, 2102 on this one, 1075 half precision score, 1270 on this one, and then 4917 quantized score, 4231. So for those wondering, if you understand what that means, I don't, but it is at least we have some baseline that we can sort of start going forward. We can start comparing these. So those are the benchmarks. Let me take a screenshot on both of these to compare them. All right, let's do this. Let's take a look at the camera because it has an excellent 8 megapixel camera, which on paper sounds good. So, but let's see if it lives up to the hype here. So I'm going to open the camera app and I'm going to say yes to that. And it looks good. So here you can see this is that camera. Now let me go to the settings here. So I'm going to put it on a 1440p, but it's capable of higher if you use a different program. And then of course, load in Zoom, you'll be able to use this camera and have the collaboration touchpad. But overall, it looks pretty good to me. Now it is an IR camera. This looks really good actually. Now let me load it in on the bigger sibling here. So let's go to camera, and that one's shutter switch is on, so I'm going to have to switch that over there. Oh, no, it was off. Okay, that's good. And yes, and I can tell you, maybe if I can show you like this, a little brighter on this one, or maybe I have to, oh yeah, that's it. So both of these screens are at full brightness right now, and it's sort of hard to see it. Maybe we can see it over here. So you can sort of see it. And the Windows Studio effects are here. It's hard to show you in the live stream setup here, but this is really, really good. And here you can see it again. This is the Dell Pro 13 Premium. Still doesn't beat the X1 Carbon. X1 Carbon's lighter. We're going to be doing head-to-heads on these, so stay tuned. That is coming. That one's a 14-inch, though. So, but it sort of falls in between these. But yeah, we'll take a look at that. So those are the cameras here, and I got to tell you, looking pretty good. According to William, it looks okay, so that is good. that is the camera. So nice. All right, so that's good. Let's close that. And again, it has all the studio effects. We've gone over it a million times. I want to hear the sound on these because these are going to have some pretty decent sound. Let me bring up the specs again for the audio here. And let's pause it right there. And this has 2 top firing speakers, 2 bottom firing speakers. So quad speakers here, just like the 14-inch. Waves Max Audio. So it's going to have the smart amplifier. So that means it's going to be hopefully good sound here. So let's put it back over here. And let me take this off the screen. And let's get a sound comparison between the 14 and the 13-inch here, 13.3 inches. All right, so let me put it on me for a second, and I'm going to load in Epidemic Sound. And I'll do the same on this one. Now, I haven't compared these. This is the first time out of the box on the 13-inch, and I did it on the one with the full HD, the original one that I had. I haven't really tested the sound on a formal sound test, but using it for the last few weeks, sounds great. I had no problem with the sound on these. Let me log in. Okay, and let me go to the save sounds. We can go to the tracks that we like, the ones to give us a good baseline here. All right, so we'll do our usual first, and we'll go from there and see if we need to do some more. Quite Unique by Tiger Blood Jewel. All right, so let me set this up with the decibel meter here. So far, it's been quiet, by the way, fan noise. But we really haven't pushed it yet. Okay, so on the right is the Dell Pro 14 Premium. We've already reviewed, and this is the brand new Dell Pro 13 Premium. And let me run this. Okay, so on the left, let's do that one, the 13-inch first. $14-inch. So William says the 14 one sounds about the same. So do they sound the same? I saw a slight difference, maybe a little bit more bass on the 14-inch. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. But pretty good sound. I got to tell you, quad speakers on both. So far, excellent camera, quad speakers, nice keyboard, nice touchpad. I have no problem with the touchpad. All right, so 60 hertz displays here, IPS. This one is tandem OLED. Would I want 120? Yes and no. What do I mean by that? So 120 hertz would give it a smoother, more fluid experience. Especially on this one, would be really nice as an option. But, and I say that with a capital B, you will sacrifice battery life. And as it is with the tandem OLED, which are more efficient than a standard OLED, but still draws more power than the IPS. So I'm expecting really, really good battery life on this one because it is IPS. Although I gotta say, 600 nits is really, really good. This is bright, sharp, and the color accuracy is decent. Coverage of the color gamut is great, although it's better on the tandem OLED. Not a surprise, but for those that are wondering, is this going to have a good display? It's going to have a great display. It's going to be great. It's not a bad sound for Windows laptops. Sounds about the same, according to Santiago. Not impressed with the sound, according to Richie. All right. I like the sound on these, and I listen to this for a living, so I got to tell you, these sound pretty good. It's hard, let me say this as well. It's hard to capture sound on a video, let alone a live stream. So I do my best. I have some pretty nice microphones here, but it's really hard. So I recommend when I do these, I should probably save this from going on, put on a good pair of headphones. You'll probably see a difference a little easier than using, and again, the other problem is when you're listening to it on different devices, you'll get some differences in the sound. It's just the way it is. So I would recommend a good pair of headphones when I do my sound comparisons. You might be able to see a better difference between those, a more clarity in terms of seeing the difference between the two. So just for your FYI. All right, so that is that. Let's open it up. Let's see. Let's shut these down. Let's see what the upgradeability is looking like here. Why not? Let me shut this one down. And let me shut this one down. Okay, so let me close this one. Let's just take a look at this. This is going to be the 13-inch. And we'll get a look at the internals here. So I would say I'm guessing a smaller form factor SSD, but let's take a look. Now this is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what I believe are 7. There's one in the middle there. Captive screws, okay, Phillips screws. So no Torx on this. I'm assuming that these are going to be captive. Let me try a different one here. Let's try this one. I need the next one up. Try this one. Yeah, this one works. And these, I believe these are going to be captive. I would be surprised if they're not. And pretty easy. So they make it easy for the IT departments to service these by putting captive screws. Phillips head screws, pretty standard, pretty nice. And there's one in the middle there. I don't know if that one comes out. We'll find out. Yeah, it looks like these are all captive. My battery on this, I don't know what's going on. I ordered a new one of these. So it's usually automated here, electric screwdriver, but I don't know. It kicked the can, so to speak. All right, let me loosen this last one up here. Love the fact that they make this easy. Hopefully, you just can pull it right off. We'll find out. Let's use a little tool here. And yeah, once you get it started, it comes right off. I love that. All right, so this is the bottom panel. Let's put that off to the side. And this is what you can expect. So it does have a dual fan setup. And it looks like a smaller form factor SSD. So is that the SSD? I'm assuming that it is. Okay, let me get a closer look at this. Okay, so I just zoomed in there, and you can see here that is the inside. So the Wi-Fi card, and here's where you'd put, I guess, the optional 5G, maybe in this area somewhere, could be. And the Wi-Fi card is here somewhere. There it is. It's underneath there. It says WLAN, wireless LAN. And reusable, let's see. Pretty good markings as far as what is what, I guess. I'm assuming that's the SSD. So it looks like a 2230. Is that a 2230? I think it is. Let me see what I don't think they mention it, but I'm pretty sure that's the 2230. So it'd be the same like a Surface. 2242 might be a little bit wider, and 2280 would be the full size. So that is pretty good. I mean, it's good because now they're more available. By the way, I love the interaction with your live streams. Yeah, thank you, Master Fung. I appreciate that. Tandem OLED is expensive, uses 2 layers. Yes, it does. So they're basically bonding 2 layers of OLED panels, and it gives you a really rich experience. And I got to tell you, it's really nice. Here's your 60 watt-hour battery for those wondering. And looks like it's a pretty clean layout. Again, the 2 fans for cooling there. And there you go. So that is the internals of it. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Let me put the cover back on. Just for fun, let's open up the 14-inch just to see the difference. If the SSD is going to be the same. Let's see. I don't remember, but let's just do it while we have everything out here. And let's just take this. Again, captive screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same as the 13-inch. And let's loosen that up here. You're getting, look what you get, for free, people. You're getting all this extra work that I'm doing here, but it's all for you and it's all good fun and it's all for science, right? We do all these experiments for science. And again, I'm going to run Linux on these. So I'll tell you what's good, what's not good, what's working, what's not working. I'm anticipating it should work. And let me loosen this last screw here. Okay, and let's see if I can just pull this one off. Probably have to get it started like the other one. Let's see here. Yep. Oops. Slippery table there. Okay, so this comes off pretty easily, and this is the 14-inch. So there it is. You can see that right up close. And it looks like it has the same SSD layout, and I think it's right there. So very similar, and you can see them, and I'll zoom out a little bit. Okay. Here are the 2 side by side. Line them up. Our Dell Pro 14 Premium, Dell Pro 13 Premium on the left. So very similar layout. Only the SSD, like most, everything upgradable by the consumer. Theoretically, you can change out the battery. Looks like that's going to be upgradable. A little bit more space I see here. They could have gone with a larger one here. I can see a little space there. Interesting. And then this one fully, pretty much, maybe a little bit more, but that's probably the most that they can go with there. And then there are the 2 speakers on the bottom. And again, 2 top firing. Both sounded really, really good. And the wireless LAN, like on the 13-inch, is over there as well. So that is the overall look at the internals here. Pretty good job, Dell. So let me put these back on. And RAM, of course, is going to be system on a chip with Lunar Lake, so not upgradable by the user. So just keep that in mind when considering this. But again, that's pretty much par for the course in 2025. Either it's soldered in or it's integrated on the chip, and you're not going to be able to upgrade it unless it is a workstation that has SODIMM slots, pretty much is what you can expect for upgradability, or something like the Framework laptop, which is fully modular and upgradable and serviceable. I did a video on that, of course. Check it out. And I think overall, this is pretty good considering where we are here in 2025. Captive screws, so you don't have to lose them. So that is pretty good. Pretty nice turnout today. All right. And I'm going to run all the benchmarks. But, look, I could tell you right off the bat, the thing I'm most interested is to see the difference in battery life with a higher resolution full HD versus the full HD plus that we looked at on the 14-inch previously. Because that was pretty phenomenal, 24, 25 hours video playback, mixed use. We were getting some pretty phenomenal numbers. I didn't put this in right. Loosen that up. Got to redo this one. I'll do it when we're done, but that you get the idea. So I don't want to waste anybody's time here, but that is that. So where are we time-wise? Let's take a look at this. We are now at 51 minutes. We're getting closer to the 1 hour that I'd like to keep this at. I think 32 gigabytes of RAM is the only good choice for future. Obviously, the more RAM, the better. I think nowadays in 2025, anything with 16 or above, it'll be fine. I do like 32 just to make it a little bit more future-proof, but to be honest, most people will be fine with 16 even. 8 is now already obsolete. Don't ever buy a laptop, when they give you a really good starting price, but they're only giving you 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. Stay away. That's a red flag. It's just to get you in the door, to bait and switch you to a higher end model, but which you should be buying anyway. Especially Apple does those tricks, although they've gotten a little bit better. They don't offer 8 gigabytes anymore, even on their Air, but they were doing that for many years, going with 4, 8, stuff like that. I would go with the minimum amount of storage if you can do so, and then upgrade it yourself, save some money. There are some nice deals to have. You can go on Amazon and all these other places where you can buy the RAM, or buy the storage, upgrade it yourself, save some money in the process. It just depends on how much they're charging you. I know Apple, you cannot upgrade it. That's the other difference between something like a Dell and an Apple, is you're going to pay the premium, the Apple tax that they charge you to upgrade, to go to the more viable models. And here, Dell, you can actually upgrade it yourself. The IT departments or whatever, they can actually do it themselves. I'll have to re-screw that one. I didn't do a great job. I got it on this one. It's good. But overall, that's been pretty good. 16 gigabytes is okay for now, basic, but new Windows will come. Yeah, obviously, you want to make it more future-proof. That's why I look for Wi-Fi 7. I like to see more RAM, more storage. Always, you can never have enough, right? You can never have enough. 8 gigabytes for a Chromebook is more than enough in 2025 if you're using a Chromebook. I haven't looked at a Chromebook, I'll be honest with you, in years. I sort of, not soured on the Chromebook, but there's no interest. And unfortunately, I don't want to put energy into making videos that nobody's going to watch. I have a hard enough time with some of these that I'm doing, not these, but some of the other ones. So I have to pick and choose. I have to choose very carefully what I show you, because sometimes the stuff that I want to review may not resonate with you guys, because I can see when you don't watch. And when you don't watch, they don't get spread out over YouTube. There's no engagement. And obviously then I'm not getting the views that I'm supposed to be getting, or I should be getting, at least in my mind. But that's, a story for another day. But yeah, that is the case here. The SSD is upgradable. The RAM is not, is the bottom line. So far, looking good. And again, we could run the Intel Arc graphics. We can do the 3D Mark, all that. I'll show you the numbers in the full review. That's upcoming. But I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be any different than some of the others. Maybe a little difference here and there, but we already know the numbers. But I'll show it to you anyway in the full review. That is coming. Looking forward to this laptop. Yeah, Kevin, I like it. I like it a lot so far. Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that, now the question you have to ask yourself, really in my mind, is, would you go for the 13-inch or would you go for the 14-inch? So there are a couple of things, a couple of key differences between the 13 and the 14. The 13 does not come with an OLED. The 14 does, or as an option, a tandem OLED. That's more expensive. And do I think it's worth it? Probably. But most people will be perfectly fine with a gorgeous 600 nits. I measured 588, so closer to 600 than the 500 claimed on this one. Really, really good stuff there. So that is looking pretty good. I would say it just depends on your needs. I'm expecting really good battery life on this. Now, again, like I mentioned earlier, when I did the non-OLED Full HD Plus 1920 by 1200 display, non-touch, phenomenal battery life. And that's to be expected with Lunar Lake, right? So this won't do quite as well, although it has the same size battery from what I understand, but it will give you good efficiency. So even with a 2.5K resolution, and the brightness will measure them the same way, but I got to say, I'm expecting pretty good battery life. So the other key is can you live without 120 hertz? Again, these are not consumer laptops where I would say it's more of a bigger deal. These are business-focused laptops. Now, I will say The X1 Carbon Gen 13 and the OLED comes with 120 hertz variable refresh rate. That is something to be said. They're not putting them on these. And I think for the few reasons, they want to focus on the battery life, keeping this cool and quiet. And of course, longevity is going to be the key there. So it's just a matter of what you're willing to use. Would I like 120 hertz? Absolutely. Would it be a nice option to go with? But again, at what cost, right? So just keep that in mind. My guess is you probably will see them in the future versions of these. But again, that's just pure speculation on my part. According to AJ, the 14 inch is the perfect spot. I think a lot of people are moving to 14 inches. This way you don't see too many 13-inch business laptops all that much anymore. But I'm glad to see Dell still making them because there is a segment of the audience that wants even more portability and a smaller footprint. Although I will say, I mean, in all fairness, it's not a huge difference in the footprint. If you look at it here, it's a little bit bigger. And weight-wise, it's very similar. So I see that's the difference between the two. Wow, that is fabulous. Almost 600. What is almost 600? Oh, yeah, the nits. I was like, 600 what? Well, yeah, 600 nits. Yeah, I measured 588. So very close. They actually claiming 500. So it's I like when they don't oversell you and they sort of underreport a little bit. So when you do get a nice result, it's a nice feeling. I guess it's psychological more than anything. But yeah, 600 nits, pretty good. I personally love the 14-inch. Our users in the East prefer 13. That's interesting. So that's a very interesting. So in the eastern part of the world, they like the 13-inch, whereas the Westerners like 14-inch. Interesting. Very nice. Thank you, Master Fung, for letting us know. Nits. Yes, they are nits. That's the measure of brightness of the screen. All right, so to wrap things up here, I want to thank the moderators and everybody. Overall, pretty nice package here from Dell. I look forward to testing it out. Probably one of the top 13-inch business laptops out there. It's premium. It lives up to the name so far. And I love the fact that we get a bright, sharp display. It's not OLED, so you don't have to worry about screen burn-in. You don't have to worry about PWM or anything like that. So just putting it out there, just saying, so let us know. All right, people, I will see you in the next video. I want to thank everybody for comments and questions and for just showing up. Obviously, I'll have more to come. I got some stuff I can't even talk about, but very exciting. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.